their husbandry and their daily kind of routine that we do here. Now, we do have 6 seals altogether, and one very noisy one there, just try and ignore him, he will just beg for a while. There you go, quiet for 2 seconds. Now, we do have 6 seals altogether, they're all males, and they're a bachelor group obviously, and the dad is this one right here. He is called Atari, and Atari is 13 years old. And the rest of them range in ages from 7 down to the youngest, which is 3. Now, our daily routine basically consists of coming down here, having a lot of fish to chop up, and prepare 3 lots of food. They have 3 feeds per day, one first thing, one at lunchtime, and then one in the afternoon. Now, when we do our training sessions, we incorporate that with the feed, so that we can go in one-on-one with them and train them all the things that we need to train them in order for us to go in safely. And also for us to create a bond with our seals. They are category A animals, which means they are as dangerous as lions and gorillas. So to go in there without them trained, it would be a very dangerous thing to do. Now, I'm going to show you a few things with Atari here. He's going to do a few behaviours for you tonight. Usually I would be very close to him, so if he doesn't do something, you might be a bit confused because I'm quite far away. So bear with us. And the first kind of thing we do is vet checks and health checks for him. And we do that when they're fully conscious. And the things we do are things like flipper checks. So we look under their flippers just to make sure there's no cuts or abrasions under there. And just to have a visual look to make sure there's nothing that needs any attention. And let's show us your other one. So by looking under there, we can see that it's all healthy and there's nothing to worry about. Now, our seals are very big, very muscular, and so to get them to show us how mobile they are, so we can see that they're using all their muscles, we'd ask them to do a spin around. Now, Atari needs to use all the muscles in his body to do this. If he was struggling to do it at any point, that would indicate that maybe there might be something wrong. So then we can alert the vets as we need to. And sometimes we don't want them to move around at all. We want them to lay very, very still. And this could be in the case of doing a weighing session. We do have a very large set of weighing scales. And in order for us to get an accurate weight from our seals, we need them to lie very still. So by training them to, leave them alone, you. By training them to lie very still, we can make sure that when we do weigh them, it's completely accurate. Because if they're putting on weight or losing weight very rapidly, this can indicate a health problem. So it's all very well for us to check them visually, but we need to check their weight as well. Now, we can also bring mobile X-ray units down to check them all over, and do this while they're fully conscious, because we can keep them very still. And we can also check their underside as well. Hopefully it will show us his belly. Show us your lovely belly. There we go. And this is really important, because if they are putting on weight, if they've got any swellings, we can also check that. And when he's actually in with me, I can actually do a full tactile down his belly, and I can touch him and feel all over to make sure he's got no lumps or bumps. So all of these things are really, really important for us to make sure he's fully healthy. Now, seals are they're very clever animals. When they dive down, they can hold their breath for up to 20 minutes when they do a deep dive in the ocean. And what happens is their organs completely slow down, so they're using as little oxygen as possible so they can conserve it when they're down deep in the ocean. Now, when we put them into an artificial state of deep dive response, which means when we put them under anaesthetic, their organs can slow down to a complete stop. And this obviously is a huge risk of death, and we don't want to do that. So any vet checks or health checks we can do with them fully conscious is really, really good, and it obviously is a much less risk of death to the seal. So those things are all really, really important. We can do dental checks to check his teeth. We open their mouths. I won't do it from here because he won't be able to understand what I'm doing. If I did it now, he'll just look at me, nod his head and think, what are you asking me to do? But he would open his mouth so we can check his teeth and the inside of his mouth to make sure his gums and his teeth are healthy. Now, what we tend to do here is 3 sessions a day, and we do all sorts of training, not just for health checks. We do fun things as well, just to check that they're stimulated and just to keep them really motivated, to be honest, because obviously captive animals, they're not really given that much attention as they're not doing the things they would naturally do in the wild. So we like to do things just to keep them stimulated so they use that brain matter that they have. I'm going to get Atari to do a jump now, and this is target stick. This is what we use to move them around the enclosure, and the first thing we do to train them is use this. They follow it, touch it with their nose, and they get a reward. So we can move them around as and when we need to. I'll just warn you guys, you might do a belly flop, so you might want to stand back. So watch out guys, this is what he'd do in the wild. He'd jump up really high out of the water, hopefully. That wasn't a great one, Atari, you can do better than that. So in the wild, the reason seals would jump out of the water, especially for a male, would be to impress the females. Now, Atari would have a harem of about 16 females in the wild. So the higher he jumps, the more likely he is to get the girls. Another reason they jump out of the water is to evade predators. And the predators they would find in the wild would be great white sharks, killer whales. So by jumping really high out of the water, they can actually maybe get ahead of the predator and get away from them. And another kind of jumping they do is porpoising. I can try and get Atari to do it here. So by porpoising in and out of the water, arching in and out, so come back in the water please. Not quite sure what I'm asking to do. I'm sure you've seen dolphins doing this at the bow of the ship. They go in and out of the water. Air is a lot less resistant than water. I don't know if you ever tried to walk in water. It's quite hard to do. But in air, he can jump in and out very, very quickly. So that's porpoising, and that's what they do in the wild. Now, we tend to humanise our animals a lot, as humans, like dogs, cats. We think they think like we do. They actually don't. They're not interested in what we're interested in. They don't want to watch EastEnders or Game of Thrones, or they're not worried about things like that, like we are. They're actually more worried about when their next meal's coming, and in Atari's case, when we're going to get some females to join his bachelor group. Now, I can get him to look like he understands what I'm saying. Atari, give us all a wave. So, I can say that, and it looks like he understands what I'm saying. Atari, if I'm the best animal trainer in the world, give me a nice round of applause. Oh, thank you, Atari. You're a good boy. That's not true, obviously, but he looks like he's understanding what I'm saying. I'm asking him to give him a wave. By doing this, this is a cue. So by him doing a wave, I do a wave, and he copies me. Asking him to do a clap is me tapping my leg. And all we've done is train him to follow the cue. He knows if he does that cue, he gets a reward for it. So it's all just training. It's not actually them understanding what we're saying. So we tend to try and explain that because it's not great to humanise our animals. We need to treat them exactly as they are, and that is animals, not humans. Now, when you walked into Seal and Penguin Coast today, it might have been a bit confusing. I'm going to tell you the difference between seals and sea lions. There's about 3 differences. If you have a look at Atari, you can see he's got ears that stick out the side of his head. Seals just have holes in the side of their head. The way seals move around on land, they're like giant slugs or caterpillars. They use their bellies, they're quite cumbersome and slow. Atari here moves like a sea lion. He uses all 4 flippers to rotate. He's very, very quick, can outrun a man on land. So that's 2 differences. And you certainly wouldn't see a seal doing this. Oh, you're not going to do it, are you? Show me that. There we go. Good boy, Atari. Now you can see he's standing up on his front flippers and using that weight. He weighs about 100 kilograms at the moment, at his heaviest. So to hold that weight up, he's got to have really strong front flippers. A seal just simply wouldn't be able to do this. So you might be confused now because you're in Seal and Penguin Coast, but I've just said that he actually does all the things that a sea lion does. Well, he is in fact a sea lion. The only reason he's called a seal is because of his fur, and that is another difference. Sea lions generally just have 1 layer of fur. Seals have 2. If you have a look at Atari, you can see he's got quite an orange colour underlay there. That's the one that keeps him warm. The outer layer of fur keeps him dry. So basically, Atari is just a big, fat, hairy sea lion. He is not a seal. Even though they're called seals, that's just science trying to confuse us as usual. Now, I'm going to wrap my talk up there, guys. I hope you've learned something about our seals. If you do want to ask me any questions, I'm going to hang around for a little bit, so please feel free to come and have a chat. But that just leaves me to say thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Good.